The scream tore through the humid New York night like a shattered bottle, sharp and desperate, echoing off the graffiti-scarred walls of the alley behind the dive bar on Bleecker Street. Jamie's heart slammed against her ribs as rough hands yanked her deeper into the shadows, the stench of stale beer and garbage choking her throat. She twisted, her heel catching on a crack in the pavement, but before the world could swallow her whole, a blur of fury exploded from the crowd. Alex, her unbreakable shadow, barreling in like a storm unleashed, fists flying with the precision of someone who'd learned to fight for survival long before friendship had bound them. One crack of bone against jaw, and the assailant's grip slackened. Another swing, and he crumpled to the wet asphalt, groaning. Alex stood over him, chest heaving, her knuckles split and bloody under the flickering neon sign that buzzed, "Last call," like a dying heartbeat. She turned, eyes wild with something fiercer than anger. Fear, raw and unfiltered, for Jamie. "You okay?" she rasped, voice low and gravelly, pulling Jamie into a hug that felt like armor and anchor all at once. In that moment, as sirens wailed in the distance and the rain began to patter down, Jamie buried her face in Alex's damp shirt, inhaling the familiar scent of leather and faint cigarette smoke, convinced it was just her best friend's unyielding loyalty saving her again. But Alex's arms trembled, holding on a beat too long, her heart thundering not from the fight, but from the terror of almost losing the one person who'd ever made her feel truly alive. They stumbled out of the alley together, Jamie's arm looped through Alex's, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, the city lights smearing into golden streaks through the downpour. "Jesus, Jamie, what the hell were you thinking, wandering off like that?" Alex muttered, her Brooklyn accent thickening with adrenaline, but there was no real bite in it, just that same protective edge that had defined their friendship since freshman year at NYU. Jamie laughed shakily, wiping rain from her face, her auburn curls plastered to her cheeks. "I needed air. That guy at the bar was intense. Creepy intense." She glanced up at Alex, all sharp jawline and tousled dark hair cropped short like she dared the world to mess with her. At 25, Alex looked every bit the tough-as-nails barista who'd clawed her way through foster homes and dead-end jobs, her hazel eyes always scanning for threats. Jamie, softer around the edges with her freelance graphic design gigs and endless optimism, had always leaned on that strength, mistaking it for sisterly devotion. Back at their cramped walk-up in the East Village, the kind of place where the radiator clanked like an old man's cough and the walls whispered secrets through thin plaster, Jamie kicked off her soaked boots while Alex rummaged for the first aid kit under the sink. The apartment was a chaotic haven of mismatched furniture scavenged from stoops, Jamie's colorful throw pillows clashing with Alex's stack of dog-eared paperbacks on queer theory and survival manuals. "Sit," Alex ordered, pointing to the sagging couch, her voice brooking no argument as she dabbed antiseptic on Jamie's scraped elbow, with surprising gentleness. Jamie winced but smiled, the warmth of Alex's touch chasing away the chill. "My hero," she teased, bumping her shoulder against Alex's. "What would I do without you?" Alex's laugh was a short bark, but her eyes lingered on Jamie's face a fraction too long, tracing the curve of her lips, the freckles dusting her nose. "Crash and burn, probably," she replied, forcing lightness into her tone. Inside, though, her chest ached with the weight of unspoken truths, the kind that had simmered since that rainy orientation week when Jamie's bright smile had cracked open the fortress Alex had built around her heart. As the night wore on, they cracked open a bottle of cheap red wine, the kind from the corner bodega that tasted like regret but paired well with bad decisions. Curled up on the couch under a threadbare blanket, Jamie recounted the bar fiasco with exaggerated flair, her hands waving like she was conducting an invisible orchestra. "He kept saying I looked like his ex, like that was a compliment. I mean, who says that?" Alex chuckled, swirling her glass, but her mind replayed the alley in vivid flashes, the way Jamie's eyes had widened in terror, how close she'd come to being just another statistic in a city that chewed up dreamers. It fueled the fire that had been burning low in her gut for years, this fierce, all-consuming need to shield Jamie from the world's sharp edges. Not because she was fragile, God. No, Jamie was a force, with her unshakable belief in second chances and her sketches that captured souls on paper, but because loving her felt like the only pure thing Alex had ever known. Jamie stretched, her head lolling onto Alex's shoulder, the casual intimacy that had always blurred the lines between friends. You know, you're like my personal bodyguard. Remember that time in college when those frat guys cornered us at that party? Alex nodded, the memory surfacing like a bruise pressed too hard. The beer-soaked basement, the leering faces, her own knuckles splitting open again as she shoved them back. Jamie had hugged her after, whispering thanks with tears in her eyes, and Alex had swallowed the urge to pull her closer, to confess that the rage wasn't just about protection. It was jealousy, terror, love, all tangled in a knot she couldn't untie. Yeah, Alex said softly now, her arm draping around Jamie's shoulders almost unconsciously. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Jamie sighed contentedly, oblivious to the storm raging beneath Alex's calm facade. I love you for that, Alex. You're the strongest person I know. The words landed like a punch, sweet and slicing, because Alex heard the platonic echo in them, the one that kept her awake at night, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin, wondering if she'd ever find the courage to rewrite their story. Morning light filtered through the grimy blinds, painting the apartment in hazy gold, and Jamie woke to the sizzle of eggs in the cast-iron skillet, Alex's ritual apology for any chaos the night before. She padded into the kitchen in oversized socks, her hair a wild halo, and wrapped her arms around Alex from behind, pressing a quick kiss to her cheek. Smells amazing. You're spoiling me. Alex stiffened for a split second, the warmth of Jamie's body igniting sparks she quickly doused, turning with a grin to plate the food. Gotta keep my damsel fed. They ate at the wobbly Formica table, knees brushing under it, trading stories about their week. Jamie's latest client drama at the ad agency, Alex's shift at the coffee shop where she'd comped lattes for a harried mom who reminded her too much of the women who'd raised her in fleeting foster stints. It was easy, this rhythm they'd carved out over 7 years, from awkward dorm mates to inseparable souls navigating the relentless pulse of New York. But lately, cracks had started to show. Jamie's phone buzzed incessantly with texts from Mark, the charming accountant she'd met at a networking event, all polished suits and easy compliments. He's taking me to that new Italian place in Soho tonight, Jamie said over coffee, her eyes sparkling with that hopeful glow Alex both cherished and dreaded. You should come, third wheel status and all. Alex forced a smirk, stirring her mug until the spoon clinked like a warning bell. Nah, got plans. Rain check. Inside, envy coiled like smoke, not because Mark was a threat. Hell, he seemed decent enough, but because he got to hold Jamie's hand without the world questioning it, without the fear of shattering their fragile equilibrium. Jamie pouted playfully. Fine, but don't wait up. And text me if you need backup from your plans. She air-quoted the word, oblivious to how it stung, and Alex watched her go, the door clicking shut like a lock on her heart. The evening stretched empty without her, Alex wandering the apartment like a ghost, picking up Jamie's sketchpad and flipping through pages of half-formed dreams, portraits of street musicians, abstract swirls of color that screamed Jamie's restless spirit. One drawing caught her eye, a rough sketch of them both, laughing under Central Park's cherry blossoms last spring, Jamie's lines capturing the way Alex's eyes softened only for her. It stole her breath, that quiet tribute, and for a moment, Alex let herself imagine a world where she could trace those lines with her fingers, whisper the truth into the space between them. But doubt crashed in like a wave, Jamie's laughter with Mark, the way she talked about wedding dresses and hypotheticals that didn't include her. No, better to stay the protector, the friend, than risk becoming nothing at all. By midnight, Jamie burst back in, cheeks flushed from wine and wind, her dress rumpled in that endearing way. It was nice, but I don't know, Alex. He talks a lot about stocks and suburbs. Feels like he's planning a life I don't fit into. She flopped onto the couch, kicking off her heels, and Alex joined her, handing over a glass of water with a steady hand that belied her racing pulse. "Then why bother?" she asked, voice casual. But her eyes searched Jamie's face for clues, for any sign that the spark she'd seen flicker there tonight wasn't just the booze talking. Jamie shrugged, leaning her head back, exposing the vulnerable line of her throat. "Because it's safe? Normal? God, that sounds awful." She turned, their gazes locking in the lamplight, and for a heartbeat, the air thickened with possibility, Jamie's lips parting slightly, Alex's hand hovering near hers. But Jamie blinked, the moment shattering as she laughed it off. "Anyway, tell me about your night." "Hot date." Alex's throat tightened, the life forming easily. "Just the usual, gym, then crashing at Riley's." Riley, her queer-coded coworker with the infectious laugh and zero expectations, the perfect alibi for nights when solitude threatened to crack her open. Jamie nodded, satisfied, and launched into a tangent about the tiramisu, but Alex barely heard, her mind replaying that almost touch, the what-ifs piling up like unread messages in her soul. Days blurred into weeks, the city shifting from summer's sticky embrace to autumn's crisp bite, leaves crunching underfoot as they navigated their routines, brunch at that hole-in-the-wall on Avenue A, where the pancakes were greasy perfection and the coffee strong enough to wake the dead, late-night runs along the Hudson, Jamie's breaths puffing white in the chill while Alex matched her stride, ever the guardian. But Mark persisted, dinners turning to weekends away, and each time Jamie returned, there was a shadow in her eyes, a hesitation that Alex ached to soothe. "He's great on paper," Jamie confessed one evening, curled on the fire escape with mugs of chamomile steaming between them, the skyline twinkling like distant promises. "But when he kisses me, it feels rehearsed. Like I'm playing a role." Alex's grip tightened on her mug, the ceramic biting into her palm. "Then write your own script, Jam. You deserve fireworks, not footnotes." Jamie turned to her, the city lights catching in her eyes, turning them to liquid amber. "What if I don't know what fireworks feel like?" The question hung there, vulnerable and vast, and Alex's resolve frayed at the edges. She wanted to say this, "Us. The way my heart races when you smile, the way I'd burn the world to keep you safe." Instead, she bumped Jamie's shoulder, the familiar deflection. "Then we'll find them together. Scout's honor." Jamie smiled, leaning into her, and they sat like that until the wind nipped too hard, retreating inside to the warmth of shared silence. But that night, as Jamie slept in the next room, Alex lay awake, the weight of her silence pressing down like the subway's rumble far below. How many more moments could she steal before the truth clawed its way out? The breaking point came on a Friday in October, the air sharp with the scent of wood smoke from food carts and the faint rot of fallen leaves. Jamie had invited Alex to a gallery opening in Chelsea, one of those pretentious affairs with wine that tasted like regret and art that made you question your life choices. Mark was there too, arms slung possessively around Jamie's waist, his laugh too loud as he name-dropped artists neither of them cared about. Alex hovered on the periphery, nursing a plastic cup of Chardonnay, her leather jacket a shield against the room's polished indifference. She watched Jamie light up under the spotlights, her dress a swirl of emerald silk that hugged her curves like a lover's whisper, and jealousy twisted like a knife, not for the attention, but for the ease with which Mark touched what Alex had only dreamed of. As the night wore on, the crowd thinned, and Alex slipped out for air, the cool alley behind the gallery a welcome slap of reality. She lit a cigarette, the flame flickering in the dark, inhaling deeply to steady the storm inside. Footsteps echoed, and there was Jamie, slipping through the door, her heels clicking uncertainly. "Hey, stranger." "Hiding out," Jamie teased, but her voice wavered, eyes scanning Alex's face with that intuitive concern that always undid her. Alex exhaled smoke, offering the pack with a shrug. "Just needed a break from Mr. Perfect." Jamie took one, fumbling with the lighter, her fingers brushing Alex's in a spark that lingered. "He's not perfect." Tonight felt
Off.
Like I'm forcing it. She leaned against the brick wall, the cigarette dangling forgotten, her gaze dropping to the ground. I keep comparing him to you, you know. The way you just get me, no explanations needed. Alex's heart stuttered, the words a lifeline and a noose. She stepped closer, the space between them charged like the air before thunder. Jamie. It was all she managed, her voice rough, but Jamie looked up, and in her eyes, Alex saw it, the flicker of recognition, the question neither had dared voice. The cigarette fell from Jamie's fingers, crushed under her heel as she closed the gap, her hand rising to cup Alex's cheek, thumb tracing the scar above her eyebrow from a long-ago fight. What if it's always been you? Jamie whispered, breath mingling with the night air, and Alex broke, pulling her in with a desperation born of years of restraint, their lips meeting in a kiss that tasted of salt and smoke and finally, home. The world narrowed to that point of contact, Jamie's hands fisting in Alex's jacket, Alex's arms wrapping around her waist as if to fuse them together against the pull of doubt. It was messy, urgent, the kind of kiss that rewrote histories, the tentative brushes in college dorms mistaken for comfort, the lingering hugs after nightmares shared in the dark. When they parted, gasping, foreheads pressed together, Jamie's eyes shimmered with tears. Why didn't you say anything? Alex swallowed hard, the vulnerability stripping her bare. Because losing you as a friend? That would have killed me. I thought you saw me as the big sister type, the protector.
Not
this. Jamie finished, her smile trembling but real, fingers threading through Alex's hair. I've been blind, Alex. All this time, I thought your strength was just loyalty. But it's love. It's always been love. They stumbled back inside, hands linked under the table as Mark droned on about abstract expressionism, oblivious to the earthquake shifting beneath. Later, in the cab ride home, Jamie's head on Alex's shoulder, the city blurred past in a haze of neon and possibility. What now? Jamie murmured, tracing patterns on Alex's palm. Alex kissed her temple, the gesture soft but sure. Now we figured out. Together. No more hiding. The apartment welcomed them like an old confidant, the door shutting out the world's judgments, and in the quiet, they explored this new terrain. Kisses that deepened from tentative to consuming, whispers of confessions spilling like wine. But dawn brought reality's edge. Mark's texts lit up Jamie's phone, insistent and confused, and guilt flickered in her eyes as she silenced it. I have to end it properly. He doesn't deserve. Alex nodded, pulling her close. Do it your way. I'm not going anywhere. The conversation with Mark unfolded over coffee the next day, in a neutral diner with checkered floors and the hum of fluorescence. He took it with stunned grace, more hurt than angry, and Jamie walked out lighter, her hand finding Alex's on the sidewalk, fingers interlacing like puzzle pieces slotting home. Free, she breathed, and Alex grinned, the weight of years lifting.
Yeah, free.
Yet freedom came with thorns. Whispers started at work, Jamie's colleagues side-eyeing her glowing smiles, Alex's barista buddies ribbing her about the mystery girl, who'd finally cracked her shell. New York's queer scene embraced them with open arms, drag brunches in the Village, hands held at poetry slams in Brooklyn basements, but family loomed like storm clouds. Jamie's parents, conservative holdouts from the suburbs, called with questions laced in concern, their voices tight when she mentioned, a friend moving in officially. Is this a phase, honey? That Alex girl, she's always been so intense. Jamie's grip on the phone whitened, but Alex, eavesdropping from the kitchen, squeezed her shoulder, a silent vow. Alex's side was quieter, her fractured family a ghost rather than a specter, but the vulnerability terrified her. One night, after a blowout argument over nothing, Jamie's forgotten sketchbook left in the rain, Alex's overprotectiveness flaring into accusations, they faced the abyss. You treat me like I'm still that girl in the alley, needing saving. Jamie shouted, tears streaking her face. Alex recoiled, the truth landing like a slap. Because I almost lost you. Every time I close my eyes, I see it, your face, scared, and me not fast enough. The room fell silent, charged with the raw edges of their pasts. Jamie softened, crossing the space to wrap Alex in her arms. But you were there. And now, we save each other. They made love then, slow and reverent, mapping scars and sighs, emerging stronger, the bond reforged in fire. Winter blanketed the city in snow, turning Central Park into a wonderland of hushed whites and twinkling lights. They skated hand in hand, Jamie's laughter bubbling as she clung to Alex during spins, the world fading to just them. Holidays brought challenges. Jamie's family dinner a tense affair, her mother's pointed silences met with Alex's quiet dignity, sharing stories of foster holidays that soften the edges. She's family to me, Jamie declared over pie, and though acceptance was a slow thaw, the seed was planted. Spring unfurled in blooms and renewal, their one-year mark celebrated with a rooftop picnic, the same one where rain had once hidden tears. Jamie pulled out a sketch, them, entwined under stars, labeled our story. I thought you only wanted to protect me, she said, echoing the title of their journey. Alex pulled her close, voice thick. I did. But mostly, I wanted to love you. Out loud. They kissed as the city hummed below, a testament to courage, to choosing vulnerability over fear. And in the quiet after, as they built a life thread by thread, adopting a scruffy rescue dog named Scout, planning trips to beaches where hands could link without stares, they found the meaning in the mess. Love wasn't a shield, but a mirror, reflecting back the strength in surrender, the humanity in hidden hearts finally bared.